Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and this is our Week 3 battle for the PMC D League. I am the coach of the Baltimore Oriolus, and our opponent this week is Roshan, coach of the Detroit Solgaleos. Now, Roshan is a little new to this league still. This is only his second week, and he took over a team from Kai, who used to coach the Bermuda Tri-Attacks. So Roshan took the team. He's made a couple of swaps. He's got a really threatening team that you guys see here. I did go into a lot of detail about our own team in a team builder video that I recommend you guys check out. Just to quickly recap our team, we have a Choice Scarf Jirachi, especially defensive, Skarmory, offensive Whimsicott, Life Orb, Fake Out, Sneasel, Fist Plate, Emboar with Focus Punch, and we have a mixed defensive Sableye, Mega Sableye I should say, with Snarl. And he didn't bring anything like what I was expecting, which really stinks. Rotom is potentially very good against my team, and Diancie is obviously a huge threat. An Excadrill can be a threat if I lose Skarmory. Skarmory is going to be pressured a lot this game by Staraptor and also Druddigon, so having a healthy Skarmory is going to be really important. If I can weaken the Diancie and the Rotom, my Sneasel should be able to do some work. Pokemon like Emboar, I'm not sure how good they're going to be because his team is pretty speedy besides Druddigon, so I'm not going to be able to really wall break anything. This Emboar is really there for the Umbreon, which Sneasel can't take on otherwise. He also didn't bring Galvantula, which I was really very pleased about because that thing is very threatening. So if you missed the team builder, just real quick, my strategy is to soften up stuff with Whimsicott, dance around his threats, and then get into a position where Sneasel can come in and clean up in the late game. So without further ado, let's hop right on into this battle. So I am going to lead off with my Jirachi. If he leads off with Diancie, which is a pretty probable lead, given that I have Sableye, it's going to be able to threaten that thing out and go for a U-turn, but instead he leads off with Druddigon. So I'm pretty surprised by this. My Sableye could have gotten off a free burn on this, but he did a good job, predicting that I would be afraid of the Diancie. So I am going to switch out here into my Skarmory, and he is going to go for Stealth Rock. Having Stealth Rock up on my side of the field really stinks because it hinders my Sneasel's ability to get off lots of hits. He is going to swap out, but this is going to be a chance for us to get off our own rocks. Excuse me. So obviously, I don't want to really take a electric type move, so I am going to switch out into Whimsicott, which resists both of the stabs, and if it gets burned, it's not great, but we can deal with it. We can threaten this Rotom out, and he is just going to go for a Volt Switch, and it's going to hit my Whimsicott, and it does like 35%, so I go into the damage calc, and I'm like, geez, this Rotom is max special attack. That is not good. So anyway, he brings out the Druddigon, which was kind of interesting, because I guess he didn't know yet that I was Life Orb, so I do just click the Moonblast. We talked after the game. He said that he could live a Moonblast if I wasn't Life Orb, but unfortunately for him, I was. And we do snipe the first kill of the game, taking out that Druddigon. This is a good opportunity for him to go into his Excadrill, and this screams that it's Choice Scarf, so I am just going to go ahead and swap on out of here, and we're going to bring in our our Skarmory, the other flying ninja bird thing. And he's going to go for Poison Jab, which is really interesting. I would have expected Iron Head, but Poison Jab is good for the Whimsicott, obviously. Iron Head would be good as well. But in case it's defensive, it's nice to be able to hit it for that extra damage. So he does just bring in the Rotom, which is pretty threatening to my Skarmory, but I do just go for Whirlwind. I don't have any reason not to. Even if it doesn't really, do a whole lot, I can shuffle his team around. And we do bring the Staraptor in, which is pretty nice, because he takes that 25% Stealth Rock damage. So he is just going to go for U-turn, which is a good play. So he does 11 damage, 11 HP. This is going to sound really outrageous, but from that damage, we can determine that he's banded. If he was Scarf, he would only do like 7 HP maximum. So we do know that is his set, and he does bring in the Excadrill, which we do go ahead and Whirlwind out. Unfortunately, we bring out the one thing that Skarmory really doesn't want to stay in on. And so once this thing gets off his leftovers recovery, which is very good to note, at least it's not Scarf, at least it's not Specs based on all the damage that we saw before. It's just max special attack. We are going to swap out, and we are going to bring in our Jirachi, Just because, I don't know. I don't have a great answer for this thing. Whimsicott being offensive doesn't really want to take Volt Switches or Hydro Pumps. So I figured this way, he can do whatever he needs to do. And he brings out the Excadrill. So maybe he's hoping that I'm not Scarfed. And he's going to try and click Earthquake. But we are just going to U-turn. And I do actually do, not a ton of damage, but a fair bit of damage. And we are going to go into our Skarmory. We could have potentially gone into the Sableye here, but I didn't want to take a big move if we could help it. He does just go for Rapid Spin. Now, his switch into Rotom here is pretty obvious, so rather than try and get up Stealth Rock again, I'm going to make an aggressive switch into Whimsicott, but he actually brings in the Staraptor, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know if he was expecting a different switch, but, this thing is banded, so it does have the ability to do good damage to my Skarmory. But anyway, I calced it, and it's like a 66% chance to kill with Moonblast, and so I'm not willing to take that risk. So I do just go into Jirachi, and he is going to click Brave Bird, and this just shows you how strong Staraptor is. It takes out a Jirachi from 50% with Brave Bird. So Staraptor is a monster. Like, holy crap. But I do know that this thing is banded, so I can come back in with Sneasel, and I can get a kill on whatever wants to come in. I have no reason to click anything but Knock Off. It easily kills the Staraptor, and it's going to 2-hit KO basically anything else besides the Diancie. And we do knock off this leftovers from this Celebi, and we are going to be able to, as I mentioned, 2-hit KO it. There's no reason to click anything other than Knock Off again, because Icicle Crash does have a chance to miss. Knock Off was guaranteed to kill, and in case he swaps, it'd be really nice to knock something off. So he does bring the Excadrill back out, again screaming that it's Scarfed. So we are going to make, make the automatic play into the Skarmory. And he is just going to click Earthquake, which is a good play. It's going to do good damage to my Sneasel. So now, I tried to make this switch before, expecting the Rotom, going into Whimsicott. Last time he went to Staraptor. This time, as you can see, he stays in because I switch out first. And I'm like, crap, I'm screwed. And he lands an Earthquake on my Whimsicott, has no defensive investment, and easily goes down after Stealth Rock. And at this point, I'm thinking, crap. My only way to deal with Diancie and to deal with Rotom just got killed. So I am not feeling good about myself at this moment. So Sableye comes in. We are going to be able to Mega Evolve. And Earthquake is only going to do, after Burn, it's going to do like 25% max to me. So I have no reason to click anything but Will-O-Wisp. He brings in his Diancie. And this might have actually been the play of the game. We'll see later how it comes into play. So we get to get the burn on this thing before it Mega Evolves. Obviously, we can't stay in because this thing has Moonblast, and will easily one-hit KO our Sableye. Now, he is going to Mega Evolve, and you'll see in a moment here, he is going to click Moonblast. We do have a lot of special defense investment on this Skarmory. We have enough to live HP Fire twice from full HP. Obviously, we're not quite at full HP here, and that Moonblast actually does a lot. It does like 31%. So either that was an absolute max roll and he's timid, or he's actually a modest set. But anyway, I am really fearful here because I don't have an answer for HP Fire Diancie right now. But he does switch out, which leads me to believe that he does not have the HP Fire. So I am so relieved. I do just go for Roost to get myself back up to a good bit of HP. He's going to bring in the Excadrill again on the Skarmory. So I guess I'm not exactly sure what his thought was there. Maybe he was like expecting a Stealth Rock there. But anyway, I do go for Stealth Rock now as the Rotom comes in. And as I mentioned, especially without Whimsicott, I have no response for this max attack Rotom. So I do switch out because I can go into my Sableye and tank one. I just don't have another answer at this point. So I'm like kind of flustered because my offensive game plan is completely falling apart. Like, Sneasel is not going to be able to do what it needs to do without the support from Whimsicott. So he does just go out into the Diancie from the Volt Switch. Luckily, he does take Rocks plus the Burn, so he's taking 24% damage there. That's really nice. So I do just switch out again into my Skarm. If he's not rocking the HP Fire, then we're going to be in a pretty good position. He just goes for Calm Mind, which is very horrifying, as I'm sure you guys can imagine. So his set most likely is like Protect, Calm Mind, Moonblast, and probably Earth Power. you know, it's that's definitely very threatening. We are very fortunate though, in that the Skarmory can really tank that. I do go for Iron Head here because I'm not willing to really make any other sort of risk. If he does have the HP Fire and he's just bluffing it like a Lord, I do just click Iron Head because we're at an amount of HP, as you can see. We're at almost full, so we can take the Hidden Power Fire and we can kill it with Iron Head, but he makes a good play, doesn't overextend, and he goes back out into Rotom. I have no response for this, so I calc it, and I know that it's going to do like 55% to this Skarmory, but I do stay in and I just click Roost. And he's able to go out into the Staraptor, which, as I mentioned before, is banded based on all the damage that it's dealt to Jirachi and into Skarmory in the past. So it's possible that he U-turns here, but in case he does something different, I am just going to click Roost. He goes for the close combat, which is going to hit me neutrally, and it does a lot because it is a critical hit. And I'm like, I'm like shitting my pants right now. This is not something that I want to deal with. So I just go for Roost, get my leftovers back. We're at a decent amount of health. The calc says that a normal close combat's going to do about 50%. So we are just going to Roost up again, and we're kind of stalling this thing a little bit. He's used 2 close combats now out of a total 8 that he could have. I could go into the Sableye on the next close combat, but it's tough because he could easily make a switch into Diancie. Which is not what he does here. He instead goes into Rotom, and I am just going to Roost again. And so yeah, that's why I didn't want to go into Sableye. Like, it would have been a really nice chance for us to go in and get a knockoff on something, or probably a Snarl would be the play. But yeah, now I don't want to stay in on this Rotom. I'm thinking at this point he's going to have to click Will-O-Wisp, right? Because he just saw that I stayed in on his Skarmory, on his Rotom the last time. So I go into Emboar, hoping that maybe I can take the Will-O-Wisp, but he instead clicks Hydro Pump and clean OHKOs the Emboar. So sorry, Andre, this is just not your week. You've been really great the last couple of weeks, just not today. So I know that I can take one hit of anything from this Rotom. I'm actually not sure if I could take a Hydro Pump. That would have been... That would have maybe changed this whole game. But he just goes for Volt Switch and goes into Diancie. And I am going to recover up. Again, this Diancie takes Stealth Rock, and it'll take burn damage again. So this thing really is being whittled. You guys can see how big of an impact this burn is having. It's really hurting the survivability of this Diancie. So we are just going to go back into the Skarmory. I think you guys kind of get the gist of what's happening here. We're just pivoting back and forth between our 2 defensive Pokemon and hoping that we can make something happen. So he does go for the Moonblast, and he is going to take another hit of burn damage. If he swaps out, he is going to die upon re-entry to Stealth Rock. So he is just going to go for the final Moonblast here, and I am going to Roost up. Gets a special attack drop, obviously that doesn't matter. So his Diancie is going to go down here. So now he has Excadrill, Rotom, and Staraptor in the back. And I have Sneasel, Skarmory, and Sableye. 3-3. Once that Whimsicott went down, I thought I had no chance. But there is, a potential that we can stall this guy out here. So he does, excuse me, go for Hydro Pump, which does, about half, a little more than half. We are just going to Roost up. We have more Roost than he has Hydro Pumps. He hasn't missed one yet, so eventually maybe he'll miss one. If I can get rid of this Rotom, I'm going to be in a pretty decent position. He does finally go for the Will-O-Wisp. I was kind of afraid of this. I wanted to go out into Sableye, but I didn't want Sableye taking any unnecessary damage. We do Whirlwind out the Sableye into this Staraptor. It takes one more round of rocks. If it goes for Brave Bird or Double Edge, it's going to die to Recoil. He instead just goes for Close Combat. And again, I'm so horrified of this Staraptor. Just so much damage. So I just hit here and I go for Roost. And my initial thought is, let's see if we can stall him out of close combats. He's, I guess, is hoping for a crit, or maybe that I make some sort of misplay and I don't click Roost. He's going to go for it again. This is the 4th close combat. Does a ton of damage. If anyone had any doubt about how much of a beast Staraptor was, all you need to do is watch this game and look at how much pressure it puts on. And if I'm not mistaken, I do roost again here. I'm sorry that it's now turning into a little bit of a stall fest. But with Diancie out of the way and other stuff, you know, it's we actually have a chance of taking out his team with this core. So now that Diancie is gone, I mentioned before I didn't want to switch out to Sableye because of the risk of him doubling into Diancie. But now we can switch in, knowing that the thing is choice locked. We can get off a recover, and he is going to bring in his Rotom, which is the best thing that he has to hit this because it's not hindered by Will-O-Wisp all too much. Get back up to nearly full health, and this is when I finally reveal the Snarl. He does go for Hydro Pump, and it's going to do a nice amount of damage. It does, yeah, like 70 damage. I do think if he had clicked that Hydro Pump earlier that he would have killed us. That might have changed the entire game. But now we get off that Snarl. His Hydro Pump's going to be weaker. His Volt Switch is going to be weaker. So as he goes for this Hydro Pump, we can be very confident that it's not going to do any tremendous amount of damage to us. We can go for a recover. He'll click Hydro Pump or Volt Switch again, and we can recover a final time, and then we can either go for another Snarl or go for a knockoff or a Will-O-Wisp. This is the strategy that we're resorting to, guys. I know it's not flashy. It's not spectacular to watch, but you got to make the plays in order to win. All that matters at the end of the day is if you catch that W. So he does just Volt Switch out, probably predicting the Snarl. He is going to go on out into the Staraptor and sack it off, which is a good play. I don't disagree with that. The Staraptor, unless I bring in my Skarmory on a close combat, he's not going to be able to 2-hit KO that thing. So he brings the Rotom back, he takes Stealth Rock. He's just going to Volt Switch now into the Excadrill. I do believe I just click Recover here. It's just so funny. In my team builder, I talk so much about the importance of my offensive strategy of Sneasel and Whimsicott. Just weaken the team with Whimsicott, and then we can easily come back in later with Sneasel and clean up the game. We are now at full health, and we have no reason to click anything other than Will-O-Wisp, because we can weaken the longevity of this Rotom here if we land it, or we can weaken the Earthquakes that are coming out from the Excadrill. We do fortunately land. If we had missed, this might have been a different game, or maybe it just would have been a little bit longer. So he's really in a tough position here. He can maybe try and maneuver and outstall us here with Pain Split. If we let up and make a misplay, there's a chance that we can lose. But we do just Snarl, weakening his special attacking moves. So we can now roost up on this next move. I don't believe he clicks Pain Split here. No, he does click Pain Split. But, now that he's closer to us in HP, it doesn't do all that much, just 15 damage, and we are going to recover, which improves his ability to recover with Pain Split. And as you guys can see, this is going to take quite a number of turns to resolve. But I will say this, now that the Diancie's gone, I do think that we can win this game. I was really freaking out earlier when the Whimsicott went down. He made some really nice aggressive plays, doubling into the Staraptor, doubling into, not doubling out of the Excadrill on the Whimsicott switching, clicking that Earthquake instead. Both of those are really amazing moves and put him in a really great position to win. But fortunately, Sableye plus Skarmory is just a really, really tough core to break. And I'm not switching this thing out on this Rotom. There's no reason for me to be bringing in my Skarmory here. I'll save the Skarmory for the Excadrill. If we can just stall out the Rotom, we can win this game. He does bring in the Excadrill. I do click Recover. I am pretty sure that he stays in here and just tries to get damage off with Earthquake. Yes, that's what he does. And we are going to go for the Will-O-Wisp. If he doubled into Rotom, I don't really mind. Because it doesn't really get him any closer to a win condition. And now this thing, which is a pretty huge threat, is now virtually neutralized. We can recover up on this thing as it takes residual burn damage. And let me see if I can speed this up for you guys. If you see anything in the overlay here, I do apologize. So we're gonna speed it up. Speed it up one more time. There we go. We're doing this live, fellas. we do this song and dance. He pain splits. He gets a lot of HP back. I go for Snarl, and this is going to be a very annoying, showdown here, but it is one that we are eventually going to win. It's just, can we keep our Sableye at the maximum amount of health while taking down this Rotom? We're eventually going to get to the point where I realize that I'm not going to be able to be above like 20% and still take out this Rotom. So we just snarl him to the point where his special attacks just do very little. I don't know exactly what sort of drops he had. It must have been -3, -4 when I finally decided just to try and take him out. Just by repeatedly clicking Snarl and we hit recover every time. He goes for Hydro Pump, but it's not going to do a lot of damage. It does like 20%, as I mentioned, to recover up, because we are not quite in a range where we can knock him out. But now we are. He is going to Pain Split. We can go for Knockoff or Snarl and do damage. And once we do get rid of this thing, we have the Skarmory in the back, which completely walls the Excadrill. The Excadrill is burned and will go down. Even if it wasn't burned, we could easily Roost stall it with Roost and Iron Head until it eventually got weakened. So I don't think it'll be a surprise to you guys to learn that I do end up winning this match. It just takes another minute and a half here. The Rotom is very close to going down. I am gonna get the KO here. My Sableye is very low. Most likely I could have switched this Sableye out into Skarmory to preserve the differential, but at this point I'm just ready to take the victory and not do any sort of risks. He does KO the Sableye with the Earthquake, knowing that he doesn't really have any chance to win this game, because now I can come in with a Skarmory. I really don't need to Roost here, but I do anyway, just to, I don't know, if he's just been playing the most elaborate Scarf bluff this entire game, and he actually has Hidden Power Electric with what's that, a Zap Plate to boost the strength of electric type attacks. But now we do kill him after the Iron Head and the burn damage, and that is going to be GG. So well played, Roshan. I don't think I've ever played a game quite like this, to be honest. I don't really, I'm glad that we were able to pull out the win after being in such a desperate situation. I don't know if I would say I feel really good about it, but as I mentioned, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do in order to catch those W's, and we are now 2-1 in our division. Roshan is unfortunately 0-3. He is at the bottom of our division, and then depending upon the result of the match between Adam and Orso, we could either be in first place by ourselves or in a virtual tie. I think if Orso wins, he'd be in first place because we only have a +1 differential, and I think he has a +1 differential right now. So in order to win, he would have to get at least an extra +1. I guess a 0-0 victory is possible, but it's just unlikely. So we'll see how it goes next week. I hope that it doesn't turn into another stall fest, just because I know that that's not the greatest thing to watch. But I do hope you guys understand, and I do hope that you guys check back to my channel for more Pokemon content. I want to thank you guys for watching, and until the next time, I will see you all later.